Non-compliance can be fatal. An estimated 2.3 million construction workers, or 65% of the construction industry, work on scaffolds. Protecting these workers from scaffold-related accidents may prevent some of the 4,500 injuries and over 60 deaths every year, at a savings for American employers of $90 million in workdays not lost. Compliance with OSHA standards can not only save precious lives, but also result in cost savings and increased productivity for employers. Let us consider the example of a 30-year-old male painter, who died after falling off a scaffold 52 feet high. The employer was a small painting and decorating contractor with only 6 employees. The company had no safety program, provided no safety training, and did not conduct safety meetings with employees. The employer had provided safety belts and lanyards, but did not require the workers to use them. The employer had been contracted to paint the outside trim on a 7-story office building. On the day of the incident, the victim and a co-worker were painting from a 12-foot-long scaffold, which was 52 feet above the sidewalk. The scaffold was suspended by 2 steel cables, that were attached with large steel hooks to a ledge near the top of the building. The suspension cables above the scaffold lay across a horizontal metal gutter that was attached to the side of the building. The slack portion of each cable dangled free under the ends of the scaffold. One of the cables dangling under the scaffold was less than a foot from the 7,200-volt power line nearest the building. The scaffold was equipped with a hand-operated hoist, to raise or lower the scaffold to the desired height. At the time of the incident, the wind was blowing at 15 to 20 miles per hour. As the hoist was used to move the scaffold to another working level, the excess length of one of the cables contacted the nearby power lines. This resulted in the 2 suspension cables grounding out and burning in half where they crossed against the metal gutter at the top. This caused the scaffold to fall on the top of the utility pole, where it got stuck and the 2 workers were thrown off. The downed power lines were scattered in the street. The victim landed on the sidewalk below and was pronounced dead at the hospital. The co-worker fell onto a bank sign, which broke at impact, forcing him to jump about 10 feet to the street below. He survived the incident with multiple fractures. Conclusion: employers and employees must follow OSHA guidelines when using scaffolds, in order to ensure the safety of workers on the scaffold as well as other workers, and people in the area below the scaffold. OSHA regulations require that employers must provide fall protection for each employee on a scaffold more than 10 feet above a lower level. The use of proper fall protection in this case could have prevented the workers from falling to the ground. OSHA recommends maintaining a distance of 10 feet when scaffolds are erected close to power lines. Alternately, if scaffolds must be erected in close proximity to power lines, the power lines must be de-energized or covered. The employer in this case followed neither of the 2 guidelines. OSHA regulations require employers to develop and implement a safety and health program to help workers recognize and avoid hazards associated with work operations. Even though the company in this incident was a small one, the employer should still have developed and implemented a safety program, addressing potential hazards and trained employees in safe work practices to mitigate those hazards. In conclusion, compliance with OSHA standards could have saved a precious life, and eliminated the added medical and worker compensation costs for the employer.